78% of suicide rates worldwide are men. What can we do to help them? Destigmatize men talking about their feelings and thoughts. Kill us yourselves. That way the suicide rate is lower. Raise awareness of this fact and be there for the men in your life. Many people are more concerned with how women feel and how to protect and help women who need it, but that may be because they aren't aware that men suffer from the exact same problems that women do. If you can, donate to any local, national or even international charities. Any amount would be welcome, I'm sure. Removed. Probably do something about the male homeless problem. Last stat I saw was around 85% of the homeless population was male. I don't think we should help people with committing suicide. Murder me so I'm no longer part of that sad group. Work towards fixing the fact that most men have some form of depression. Stop telling little boys that it's not acceptable for them to cry. Actually do something about bullies in schools who psychologically torture boys into believing that expressing emotions makes them a pussy. Normalize men talking about their feelings instead of telling them to man up. Gotta get those murder rates up. There was a huge public safety poster in the Toronto subways a few years back with huge words thinking of suicide. We're here to help. And I never really understood how that wording made it to print. Probably ease all of the pressure our society puts on men. We don't talk about the emotional toll of social pressure on men nearly enough. Have a very serious conversation about how a very large percentage of these men have been fucked over in divorce and child custody proceedings. People tend to gloss right over this atrocity where men realistically have their lives ruined and see no reason to keep living. Provide more opportunities to form communities and activities that cater to different men's needs. A lot of us don't have friends or intimate platonic relationships, and we're in desperate need of that. Compliment them more. Let them know they look nice. Guys deserve just as many compliments as women. Destigmatize and normalize men talking about their feelings, seeking emotional support and seeking professional help. Raise more awareness about contributing risk factors and make seeking professional help more feasible. Cost, access, act. US Centric Response. So many responses are around supposed cultural insistence that men be tough or stoic. But over the last few decades there has been a huge cultural push to make it okay for men to be sensitive and share feelings. An American male is way more encouraged to express his feelings than he was in 2000, or 1990, or 1980. Has this correlated to a decrease in the male suicide rate? Is there an objective increase? Or is this all perception based on increased information availability? Real questions. I literally get complimented like once every 6 months and they stick with me forever. We need to talk to people IRL instead of spending all our time vilifying everyone on the internet. According to statistics shared in other responses in this thread, nope, quite the opposite actually. Rates has gone up last 20 years roughly. In the US that is. Not turn them away when they tell us what they're struggling with. Oh my dog, this blew up. Anyway, I'm so sorry to everyone who posted here sharing their cases of being turned down. I hope you all find someone who is gonna listen and help you. Blue heart, sparkling heart. Not fucking cheat on them when you are engaged because maybe they have trust issues already because their parents weren't around for their childhood. Fuck, I just want to feel better. Deleted. How about maybe investing in mental health care? This would go a long way in many American problems. Deleted. To everyone saying the "Che yo are failing" bullshit, just stop, it wouldn't work. We are raised this way, you can't just erase that. Through generations we have been taught not to do that. A much better solution is to bring more attention to male suicide and depression. Men need to become more traditionally masculine and raised by both parents, especially their father. And the system needs to not be stacked against men so much. Stop telling guys to man up, be a man, or say things like "I need a real man." All it does is reinforce so many negative stereotypes, mentalities, and it warps viewpoints. Or even better, start associating being a man with being courageous about feelings, emotions and speaking up. How are you supposed to talk about problems if you are told from the time you can speak, that you shouldn't? If you are in the USA, get them a job that pays decently without the constant risk of layoff due to outsourcing. The impact on the male population of the shift to technology from labor has been pretty bad. This is one of those unintended consequences that has a real body count, like deregulation and weakening the social safety net. Legalize prostitution. As Thoreau said, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. Also stop making everything a man says about their problems into well women/blacks/etc. have it worse. Edit, yes I know that blacks are people and can be male. I was blanket referencing the victim Olympics culture in general, not dehumanizing black people. Help with employment and farms in crisis. Remind them that they are the cause of all the world's problems, and whine about how much better the world would be if women replaced them at everything, of course. /s. Give them the opportunity to express their thoughts and emotions without going off about how pathetic it is. The amount of people saying just let them tell us they're feeling. BS. Huge BS. You want men to stop killing themselves? Stop stigmatizing men. Stop blaming every problem in history on men, and masculinity, and whiteness. Stop telling men to check their privilege. Stop telling men in poverty that they are somehow making money off the oppression of minorities. Stop calling all men sexist, and saying that all men are sexual predators. Basically, have society treat men freaking decently again. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Actually ask them if they are alright and don't say men shouldn't be sad. While there's been a lot of progress towards equality in society, a lot of that progress has been making it okay for everyone to do the things that used to be the role of men. Yet we still stigmatize people who don't want to fit that role, especially if they're a male. The optimal human in today's society is a person who is successful at business. We judge someone by their net worth. If a person chooses to do low-paying work, or even be a stay-at-home parent, they're typically seen as less of a person. Especially if their spouse supports them financially. In our quest for equality, we've made everyone the same, instead of making it okay for everyone to do what fits them best. I think this leads to more depression among those who don't fit that mold, and I think that stigma is greater in men, since they've already had this privilege and should have lower barriers to entry, so they feel like a greater failure for not fitting in. TLDR, we feel like a greater failure for not being what society says we should be because we're supposed to be the ones that have it easy. Statistically speaking, men work more, work longer hours, work in more dangerous professions and consume more drugs, alcohol and other. In addition, men, on average, have fewer close friends and feel lonelier than women. I think the fatigue of such a life can be quite draining. I don't think the problem is that men do not talk about their feelings. I think the problem is that they often don't have someone to talk to. In addition, it can be quite hard to make new friends. Especially when you are past your 20s. You know, people you are potentially interested in are married and have kids. They are preoccupied with their own lives. I felt very lonely and sad after my last long-term relationship ended. It took me over 6 months to find new friends and I'm a hardcore extrovert. Still, I made a bunch of new friends within the past year or so. I'd like to encourage anyone who feels lonely to put yourself out there. Talk to people. If you like them, ask them if they like to hang out with you. Do you know how I became friends with one of my best friends? I straight up told him that I felt lonely and that I like him and would like to become friends with him. And for those of you who already have plenty of friends and a busy life, maybe make some room for people in your community who aren't as blessed as you are. Compliment them, even if it's something small. Wow, that's a nice shirt, it looks good on you. Your hair looks nice today. A girl complimented my nose 4 years ago. Weird, I know, but I still remember that compliment. Although we are encouraged to be open about how we feel or think, we can't. If something is a genuine problem and we verbalize it, the reaction is almost always others jumping down our throat as we have no right to complain, or mocking as we have supposedly been living privileged. It's become worse in recent years as we literally have to tiptoe around while being blamed for everything generations before us supposedly did. Most men alive today had no part in anything that was done to others. We were born into a different world where we have always been on the back foot, yet carry a lot of the blame and stigma from things we had nothing to do with. I'm expecting this post to get mass downvoted purely for openly saying what I personally live and experience. We don't talk about that shit because it gets hammered back at us, so we shut the fuck up and just keep going until we break. Then everyone is like, oh, you should have said something. No, we shouldn't, as it just creates more stress and makes things more difficult. And #X200B. You want to help, then create an environment for men equal to that of everyone else instead of dwelling on the doings of long dead people and putting men separate and last. The thing about equality is that everyone is equal regardless of gender, sexuality and age, etc. People want to know what can be done to help, but when they know it just gets buried again. It's easier to just not bring it up so we don't face all the BS and drama about how hard everyone else has it as if we live in golden castles. Too many people see the world through decades-old rose-tinted glasses. Things need to change.